This is very cozy. It's like raining outside. It's nice. So today's my birthday. By the way, I'm drinking gingerbread tea, and you might be thinking, Lola, it's not Christmas time. Why are you drinking gingerbread tea? Because I have free will, and so do you. And because I can do what I want, basically. And that's the topic for today's Tea Time chat. You only get one chance to be yourself. And by one chance, I mean one life, basically. There are people who believe in reincarnation, and I don't know, of course, if that is a real thing, but I like to live with the assumption that I'm not gonna come back. So if I only get one chance at this, why would I want to spend my life living by other people's rules, by other people's expectations? When I say, why would I want to follow other people's guidelines, I'm talking more about personal choices. It's like when you're single, it's like, oh, well, are you dating? I have a friend to set you up, but then they're constantly trying to get you into a relationship. Then once you get into a relationship, it's, oh, so when are you going to get engaged? When are you guys going to take steps further? And then you get engaged, and then it's like, when's the wedding? And then you get married, and then it's like, when are you having kids? And it's never ending. Luckily, again, I haven't really felt pressured like that. But if I were, I would just simply let them know, hey, this is my life. You got your chance to do your things, and I'm gonna live my life the way I see fit. And as long as I'm not hurting anyone, you should just be rooting for me in whatever decisions I make. There's been talks for the past few years about how club culture is dead. And by club culture, I mean dance clubs. Now, if you've aged out of that, you might not be aware, but apparently the young people aren't going to clubs anymore, or at least not like we used to. And for multiple reasons, but one of them being is that they're afraid of being perceived because everyone has a phone, and at any moment someone could be recording you, and then they could put a video of you online, and we all know the internet is forever, and then you could be embarrassed because you were doing a dance move, but maybe you're not really a good dancer, and now you're mortified. And so people aren't going out, and for the people who are going to clubs, they're just standing around. They're not even dancing and having fun. While I understand having anxiety around being perceived and having a video of you put on the internet, I think as long as you're not hurting anyone, you shouldn't worry so much. I know that's easy for me to say because I'm a dancer, so I'm not really worried about someone recording me dancing and then me looking foolish. I have rhythm, is what I'm trying to get at. So typically I'm not doing anything that would be embarrassing to me. And maybe other people might find it embarrassing because they're not the type to go out and put themselves out there. And so they might think, oh, wow, how embarrassing, she's dancing in public. But I wouldn't be embarrassed by that. And so if they were to post videos making fun of me dancing, not because I was a bad dancer, because I'm actually a dancer, so that wouldn't be the issue. The issue would be, wow, I can't believe she's dancing by herself, or she's dancing at all, how lame. That wouldn't bother me because I'm confident in myself and because I don't live for other people in that way. And of course, it's easy for me to say once again because I'm older, so I don't have the same connection to embarrassment as people in the early 20s. It makes sense that they would be more concerned about things like that because when you're in your early 20s, even up to your early 30s, you really care about fitting in with your peers, and that's developmentally appropriate. At every age, we have different developmental stages that are common, that are appropriate. So of course, you have different expectations for a 5-year-old than you have for a 2-year-old, but the same goes for a 30-year-old versus a 20-year-old, so I do understand, and I want to give grace to people for, being worried about that, but it makes me sad because I was fortunate enough to be young in a time period when cell phones weren't a thing, or at least not everyone had them, and not everyone had camera phones. That's a thing, because when cell phones first came out, they didn't have cameras on them, and also social media didn't exist, or at least not in the way it does now. I think Facebook, I think didn't come about until the 2010s, I believe. And we had Friendster and there were like chat rooms and everything, but we didn't have social media. So, I am privileged in that sense that I didn't have to worry about that stuff. And so I got to be free. I got to go out and go clubbing for over a decade and not have a single care in the world. I wasn't worried about anyone recording me. I wasn't worried about, videos of me online, of me doing something embarrassing. I still never did anything really bad. I never got blackout drunk. And so I still think if there were videos of me from the times when I was clubbing, it probably still wouldn't be anything to be like terrified about, that my reputation was going to be ruined. Maybe you could still just go out and be mindful, but don't worry so much. You get this one life. You get this one chance. When you're 120 years old and you're like, all right, I think it's time for me to pass on. What types of things do you think are going to bother you in that moment? Do you think you're going to be bothered by that time when you were 23 and someone recorded you dancing out at a club, having a good time? Or do you think you're going to be bothered by the fact that you stayed at home during your 20s and spent your life doom scrolling and not socializing? That's going to be the thing you're going to regret. And honestly, if you're not out socializing, you're probably not going to live to 120, because that's a big part of longevity, is social interactions and filling that part of your cup. We are social creatures, and so we need interaction. We need to get out and do things. And honestly, when referring to club culture specifically, I know not everyone's a dancer, but I'm just going back to that because that was a big part of my 20s. I went dancing multiple times a week. I was in great shape because of it. Earlier, I was talking about how we go through different developmental stages. And in your 20s, I think it's appropriate to go clubbing if that's your thing. And to me, I kind of equivalent that to when you're a kid in elementary school and you play on the playground. When you get into middle school, you don't really do that anymore because you've moved on past that. The difference here is I don't think that you can age out of going clubbing. When I'm 110, I'm going to still be dancing. I don't know where, but I think that's always going to be a part of my life. But I think that the way I went clubbing in my 20s is different than the way I would go now. And I think that was appropriate back then. It's a place to go meet people, not only just to have fun and dance, but you can meet friends at a club. You can meet someone to date at a club. I don't know. It's just, you get exercise if you're out there dancing. It's just a fun time. And to me, it's like going to the playground, but in your 20s. So if you're in your 20s and you're watching this and you're afraid of being perceived, I just want to say, as a big sis, as your big cousin, I want you to not worry about that so much, because you want to have fun memories to look back on. When I think about my 20s, I think about going to Tijuana and going clubbing. We would park in San Ysidro, we'd walk across the turnstile, we would take a taxi to Revolucion, was the strip. We'd go to the club, we'd dance till like 4 a.m. We'd go back to the customs. We'd stand in line for like an hour to get back in through the border. Show your ID. They'd have to check, make sure you're not wasted, checked if you're a U.S. citizen. If you were drunk, you'd get put in the drunk tank. I never had to do that because I didn't drink back then. And I again, still, like, even when I did drink, I never got like belligerent or anything. But then we'd walk back across, go to our car, and then we'd be driving home as the sun was rising, go to the barn or another taco shop. I grew up in San Diego. I guess that was probably obvious because going to Tijuana. Go to a taco shop, I'd get enchiladas, eat them, and then I'd sleep all day on a Saturday, and then go out again somewhere else, somewhere in the States. And like, that was so much fun. I had different groups of friends. So like the friends I'd go to Mexico with were different from the friends I would go line dancing with. And there was some overlap, I think, but there was another group of friends. We'd go line dancing every weekend. We'd go to Stampede in Temecula. Oh, I haven't even drank any of this tea. I think it's cooled off enough by now. Ooh, cozy. We'd go to Stampede in Temecula, this big, basically like, probably was a warehouse at some point that they decorated to make it look like a dance club. There was a bull you could ride. I never rode on it, actually. See, I'm regretting not riding on that bull. Those are the things you regret, is not doing the thing. You don't regret doing the thing and maybe looking a little silly. You might regret if you're making a total jerk of yourself, like if you're being a bad character and being mean to people. Don't do that, you know, but like do the thing, do the fun things. Stampede, back to Stampede. There was a bull ride, which I regret not doing. So next time I go to somewhere with the bull ride, I'm going to do it. Then there was this big dance floor and people would line dance. And I didn't know any of the dances when I first went there. You know what I did? I stood out there on the dance floor and I watched people do the dances, and I learned the dances. And then the next time I went, I knew that dance. Oh, here's a new dance to learn. That was so much fun. And then at the end of the night, there was like a donut shop nearby, and I guess whatever donuts they had left over, they would bring them to Stampede, or maybe someone who worked at Stampede went and retrieved them. So as we're leaving Stampede, the counter was full of donuts that we could just take for free. I love donuts. Time of my life. I had so many moments, I had so many time periods like that because I wasn't afraid to live my life. And when I think back to my 20s, that's what I remember. I mean, sure, there were some times in my life that were embarrassing that I remember, but for the most part, when I think back on my life, I think about all the fun things I did. And that's what I want for other people. And so it being my birthday, it's just, I was going through photos to post of my childhood, and I actually remember a lot from my childhood. And the great thing is I got to be a kid. Like pretty much my entire life. like maybe it's been like recently that I starting to realize like, oh, I guess I should be an adult. But like I've gotten to live my life. And it's been so much fun. And so I feel like this video is more of like me encouraging other people, young people especially, but anyone, any age, you know, like as long as you're alive, you should be living your life. So if there's something you've been putting off, if there's a new hobby you wanted to try, if there's a new skill, a new talent you wanted to develop or learn, do it. What's stopping you? Seriously, what's stopping you? I just feel like I don't want to ever have a time of my life where I'm like, wow, I wasted X amount of years just not living because of other people's expectations, because of my fear of being perceived. And I just want to encourage other people to just live your life. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do the things. Be you, be yourself, be goofy, be silly, be whatever your personality is. Don't worry about what other people think of you. If there are people who are negatively judging you and you're just being yourself and you're not hurting anyone, those people aren't for you. And one of my favorite sentiments, one of my favorite quotes is, what other people think of me is none of my business. And I like to live by that. I don't really like to dwell on maybe things other people said about me or ways in which people have shown me that they don't really like me, because I know I'm a good person and I know I'm not out here hurting people left and right. I'm not going around trying to cause trouble. And so if people don't like me, oh well. I mean, if I actually did something to hurt their feelings and they let me know, I would make amends with them. But outside of that, like people who are just haters, okay, they're spending their time hating on you and you're just living your life. If it were a competition, you'd be winning in that instance. Unbothered, I'm going to give you a little bit of my time and then that's it. You get nothing more and I'm going to live my life. And that's how you should be about people who are hating on you, people who, you know, don't want to be nice to you. Just like, all right, I guess you want to spend your time saying bad things about me. Guess what I'm going to spend my time doing? Living my life. And that is why my account is called LifeOfLolaaa, because I live my life and I want you to also. So here's a toast to life, a toast to my birthday, a toast to you whenever your birthday is. Happy birthday, belated or early. And I want you to take this video as a reminder to just go out, live your life. Don't worry about what other people have to say about you, because what other people think about you is none of your business. The only business you should be minding is your own and making sure that you're living a good life. So here's to you, here's to us, and let's go out there and live. Cheers.